Hey, today I'm again talking about three completely random movies. There is no theme, but the title of those three movies are Prime Cut, Tenet, and Women on the Verge of a Mental Breakdown. First up is Prime Cut. This is a 1972 gangster movie. I wanted to watch this movie because it features both Sissy Spacek and Gene Hackman, my third for both of them this year. And then I also found out that it features Lee Marvin, which is my second one of his. The basic premise is that Lee Marvin gets hired by the Chicago Mafia to go after Gene Hackman, who has been skimming a bunch of money off of the top. Sissy Spacek plays a character who is in the middle of some human trafficking. This is a very light movie in terms of like plot and character, but it's still pretty dang good. If the action was solid, the basic story that's there is great. All of the actors did a really fantastic job, particularly Lee Marvin. I really am starting to appreciate him as an actor, and I definitely want to watch some more of his stuff. Gene Hackman is great as always. He plays just a great hammy villain, and he's intimidating as always. Gene Hackman's character has a brother who he has a very touchy relationship with, and it's definitely hinted in one scene that there might be something going on between the two of them. And that was a very surprising twist, and I liked it a lot. And then Sissy Spacek plays a very sweet, naive young adult, and she just nails that role. I think this would be a great film for a modern remake, just because there is so much room to just add to it. Something that I appreciated about this movie is that Lee Marvin's an old man and Sissy Spacek is a young woman, but there isn't any sexual or romantic tension between the two of them. Apparently the director did want there to be, but Lee Marvin's like, no, I'm an adult, that's not happening. There's definitely a lot of room for improvement in this movie, just because it is so light, there's just not a ton there. But what is there is really good and really well done. I would say if you're a fan of any of those actors, it's definitely worth a watch. Or if you just kind of like gangster movies in general, it's worth a watch. But yeah, I've been wanting to watch this for a while, and it was definitely worth the wait. It was a good, solid movie. Next up is Tenet. This movie came out last year, and I was so tempted to go see it in the movie theater. I desperately wanted to see it, because who doesn't love Christopher Nolan? But I forced myself to not, and now it's finally on HBO Max, so I watched it. But going in, I knew all of the issues people had with the movie, particularly with sound, how you just couldn't hear anything. Thankfully, though, when I put on my headphones, that kind of solved most of the issues. I was able to hear everything pretty fine. I also heard a lot of people kind of complaining about not really understanding the premise of the movie, or just the science fiction of the movie, and just the movie spent half the movie explaining itself. So I was prepared for a lot of mental gymnastics trying to figure out what's going on. But the movie is really straightforward. It's a very simple sci-fi premise that's in the movie, and they don't really do a ton with it. I think they actually over-explain it a lot. And also, I really wasn't blown away by any of the backwards stuff that happens in the movie. And if I'm being really honest, I thought it was kind of funny at times in situations where it definitely shouldn't have been funny. There's a part where there's a soldier crawling backwards on the ground, and he just looks like he's doing a crab wiggle, and it's just, I laughed a lot, and it's not a scene that you were supposed to laugh at. And just a lot of the backwards stuff in general didn't feel or look that impressive. I wasn't blown away by this movie like I was for Inception or Interstellar. And there were times too where I was just are they just showing off how big of a budget they have? That whole boat scene just felt like rich people just trying to show off all the richness that they have. It felt very unneeded and didn't really feel like it added to the story. That all being said, I still enjoyed it. It was still entertaining and kept my attention, and it was still pretty. It's just definitely not my favorite Christopher Nolan movie, that's for sure. Also, the whole thing with Robert Pattinson was just straight up ripped right out of Doctor Who. And Doctor Who did it so much better. It's still a cool concept what they did. If you've seen Doctor Who and seen this movie, you hopefully know what I'm talking about. River Song is the character from Doctor Who that I'm referring to. And I called that twist really far ahead. It wasn't hidden at all. Plus there were some other twists that like were pretty dang obvious that I'm kind of surprised they like waited till the very end of the movie to reveal. I'm like, yeah, that was painstakingly obvious like 2 hours ago. Why is this being revealed right now at the end of the movie? But yeah, the movie was fine. You've probably already seen it if you wanted to see it. I'm glad I didn't go see it in theaters. It would not have been worth it. I still liked it though. I'm just disappointed because it's Christopher Nolan and I was expecting a lot more. And lastly is women on the verge of a mental breakdown. I just have to say right off the bat that I love the title of this movie. It is just ridiculous and fits the movie perfectly. This is a 1988 Spanish movie featuring a very young and very adorable Antonio Banderas. The basic premise is it focuses on one woman who is going through this relationship crisis. She's been dating this older man who apparently has a wife and a grown child. And so it's about the main character just kind of like spiraling out of control, and then through her spirals, a lot of other people also spiral out of control. And it's pretty dang good. I love the premise of this movie. That was hilarious. The acting was great. A lot of the jokes were very solid. I don't have an exact specific issue with the movie. Foreign comedies can get kind of lost in translation a bit, and I think that definitely happened here. Like, I could recognize that things were really funny and hilarious, but I was never laughing. There was never a moment where I broke and laughed out loud. And that was frustrating because it was like, there's so many ridiculous and silly things happening on screen right now, but I'm just like, and I should be laughing, but I'm not. So I don't know if that's just more on me or if it's just because it's a foreign comedy and I'm not fully connecting to the humor. Regardless, I'm still glad I watched it. It was a fun and entertaining watch, even if I wasn't LOLing the entire time. Oh well. Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up, we have Prime Cut, sitting at number 54 in the Quite Like section, kind of nearest to the bottom of Quite Like. And then after that is Tenet, sitting at number 68 in the Liked category. And then bringing up the rear is Women on the Verge of a Mental Breakdown, sitting at number 88, also in the Liked category. And this is out of a total of 126 movies so far this year.